For speciation to occur, the most important thing has to happen is for the gene flow to be interrupted, which leads two populations of the same species to stop interbreeding, which will eventually lead to differentiations in between those two populations due to other microevolutionary factors such as mutation, natural selection, and even genetic drift. So originally, you start with one species in one single large population that can interbreed freely, which for whatever possibility or chance or event can be separated in two such populations by a geographical barrier, okay? Which leads to the two populations evolving separately. One of them could be exposed to a set of mutations, the other one to a different set of mutations. Natural selection according to the environment in one locale will act upon one population in one way and the other population in another way. And then again, genetic drift can cause the two populations that were separated by this geographical barrier to already have a different makeup in genes at particular loci. So allopatric, the word allopatric might seem difficult, but it's not. Allo means different, and we know this word because we know about alleles, right? So alleles are two genes at the same locus. They control the same genetic trait, but they could be different, right? So I have brown eyes, but my mom has blue eyes, and I know I'm a heterozygote for blue and brown eyes, which makes my alleles at these two locus different. So there are two alleles, two different alleles. Okay. And in general, most of us carry different alleles at the same locus controlling the same trait, and we know according to genetic characteristics, they could be dominant, semi-dominant, and so on. So allo is different, so different locales on the two sides of this newly formed geographical barrier. And patria, the word patria, or the second part of this allopatric type of speciation, refers to locale or country, or even the word patriotic in English comes from the father's land, if you wish to go to the roots of the word. But it refers in this case to a locale, the two sides of this geographical barrier. So again, as I said earlier, the most important step in speciation is the interruption of the gene flow, which allows the two newly formed separated populations to evolve in different directions according to mutation, natural selection, and genetic drift. So the longer the two populations of the same species are staying separate, the more they'll have chances to separate and differentiate according to their new adaptations to their own environment. So for example, before the last glaciation, Europe had one species of oak. Of course, it had lots of species of oak, but there was one particular species of oak that was separated by a large ice sheet that extended from Northern Europe all the way to the Mediterranean. So some of these individuals of this oak population, ancestral oak population, were kept or survived on the western side all the way to, let's say, the Gibraltar Strait. Maybe not necessarily to Africa, but at least very south, where the glacial ice did not destroy the oak population. On the eastern side, some of these individuals could have escaped all the way to the Bosphorus and Dardanelles Strait to Asia Minor. So even though they didn't necessarily cross to the other two continents, they survived. But they didn't survive in the middle. This ice sheet created this geographical barrier. So eventually the ice melts, and the geographical barrier disappears, but the two populations have speciated enough that even though when they are put back together, interbreeding cannot easily happen. Sometimes it can happen and produces hybrids, but it cannot, they are now two different species. Another type of speciation that we'll learn about in a moment refers to speciation within the same locale. So sim, the word sim, or the prefix sim in this sympatric refers to together. So in Greek, sim, S-Y-M or S-I-N, it's like symbiotic or synthesis. It refers to together. So the two populations are now together on the same country or the same fatherland, the same locale, areal, whatever you want to call it, and yet they cannot interbreed successfully, which means that speciation has occurred.